Okay, welcome to Into the Channel, a podcast primarily about women's football. Real quick before we hit the pitch, if you enjoy the show or love women's football as much as we do, we invite you to follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you like to watch or listen. Ratings and reviews, always appreciated. At ITC_pod on X, at Into the Channel pod on Threads. Champions League is back this week for both the men and women. And I don't know, is this the best sports tournament in the world right now? It certainly feels like it. You can find the Matchday 3 Groups A and B episode in your feed. Right now, though, your boys are breaking down the entire Thursday slate. Before we dive in, though, I am your host, Dino DeCespedes. And as always, I am joined by my co-host, Mr. Grant Engel. What is up, man?
Excited to talk about Group C and D, my good man. World footballing powers in these two groups and some pretty tasty matchups, to say the least.
100%. A ton to cover in these two groups. We're looking at Chelsea Hacken, Paris FC versus Real Madrid, and a little bit of a loser leaves town match, Bayern versus Ajax, and PSG hosting Roma. Mr. Grant Engel, where do you want to get started?
Man, there are incredible matches in both Groups C and D, but if you're giving me the option to choose where we start, I think I'm going to pick BK Hacken coming to Stamford Bridge to take on Chelsea Football Club. You mentioned these matches are being played on Thursday. This one will be 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. You know, I think we've talked about them quite a lot. We love Chelsea. We like a lot of their players. They have a lot of English nationals on their squad, which I like. But there is still that little part in the back of my brain that when I see that Chelsea blue, I do get a little bit of a kick of watching them get smacked. And no disrespect to, like, Lauren James is probably my favorite footballer in the world right now, so no disrespect to her whatsoever. I just cannot not see John Terry wearing that Chelsea blue. I could not see Diego Costa wearing that Chelsea blue. So
no, Jesus.
So they fucking annoy me sometimes. But again, this is a different squad. I really enjoy watching the women's team play. Let me stop stalling. Let me kick it over to you. We know on this pod, you are an Arsenal supporter. There was a London derby this weekend. What did you happen to see? What happened? I'm not quite sure how that ended up.
Let me just type in an FB riff here. Just gonna put up the stats and we smashed them. 4-1 loss for Chelsea to my Lady Gunners. A little bit of a Millie Bright effect, I thought. That was one large gap in the defense. I'm not sure Amanda Illistedt, newish Arsenal signee, gets such a clean look at goal with Millie Bright in there. Either way, though, dominant performance from Arsenal. Alessia Russo, out of her fucking mind. Ooh. Packed house as well. Love to see that attendance. 59,402. Let's fucking go.
Ooh. Damn.
Kind of bummed that my Lady Gunners got knocked out by Paris FC and they went on to pretty much do nothing as of yet. We'll see, still 4 games to play. But definitely looking forward to the WSL title race this season and some Champions League next year. So yeah, a lot to look forward to. But getting back to Chelsea, they've now got to take on the super tough BK Hacken side, who sit all alone at the top of Group D at 6 points. Paris FC, get them out of here. Real Madrid, maybe next time. I love this Hacken side. They withstood Las Blancas' best shot or shots, and then they put together 2 magical goals from Kavaji and Casola, who, and I did the math on this, if you combine their ages, 20 and 22 respectively, they're about a month younger than I am.
Oh, wow. Okay. Amazing.
So super bright future for this Hacken side, no matter how the rest of this tournament breaks. At Stamford Bridge, though, against the vexed Chelsea side, I think we're in for a gem of a matchup. This one going down Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. What else do we need to know about this matchup?
I think you're right about Chelsea being a little vexed. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some ill-tempered Chelsea players out there. I think if you're Hacken, you're not scared. Like you said, Hacken is super legit. Had the impressive 2-1 victory over Real Madrid on Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving. But if you're Chelsea and you just get waxed by your rival like that, you want to get that taste out of your mouth. I think you're dead on about Millie Bright. Chelsea couldn't do a damn thing with Alessia Russo, and so I think they're going to try to clean that up. I thought Chelsea's social media team, this is going to sound like a strange thing, but they did a really good job of promoting the return of Norwegian forward Guro Reiten, which is great because I think if there's one thing Chelsea doesn't have enough of, it's attacking firepower. Tongue firmly in cheek there. Yeah, definitely. I mean, all you have is Sam Kerr, Fran Kirby, Joanna Canred, and Lauren James. So yeah, throw another amazing attacking player in there. Wrighton had 9 goals and 11 assists for the Blues last year. She's a great player.
Wow.
With her kind of coming back into form, it's going to be interesting to see with the emergence of James as like this world-class, like we could play her on the wing, but you could also play her at number 10 and kind of have her be the distributor. But then you also have Fran Kirby, who's one of the better number 10s in the world. They got to find the mix. I still think Wrighton will come off the bench, but you have to find the mix of how to combine all those talents into a cohesive attack. Call me crazy. I think Emma Hayes should be able to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you bring that up because, Lauren James in the World Cup, she had some brilliant moments, but it kind of didn't feel like, I don't want to say she didn't fit in with the squad, but it didn't feel like she was on the same page as the rest of the team for the whole tournament. And we saw kind of like a little bit of her frustration spill over when, she commits that foul, was that a straight red that she got?
Yeah.
Yeah, so she gets a straight red. A lot of frustration there kind of built up after she had been like blown way, way up. So I think, she's obviously like an unbelievable player, probably like one of the best players in the world. But I would kind of like to see, her as more of like I'm going to go basketball here, but a little bit like a Nikola Jokic, kind of like a centerpiece where now they control the whole chessboard. It feels like she has the skill and the talent to be able to do that and the mind to be able to do it. It's just not the way that they play exactly. I think she has that potential.
I wonder if it's like we make the James Harden comparison, and I compare Luka Doncic to, I think Doncic is more like Harden than he is like LeBron. And I think
Yep.
when you have like a heliocentric player like that, or at least a player who has the skills to be a heliocentric player like that, sometimes it's hard for the teammates to be like, oh, I'm going to run to this spot. But Harden, or in this case, James, is such a genius. She's like, oh, I'm actually going to go this way. And you could have gone to this spot. But that other player didn't even see that spot was going to be available, or didn't think that James was going to get to that spot to make her available. So I think
Yeah.
that could be tricky. And she's so deadly on the wing, it sometimes makes sense because the service that she's able to provide is just fucking on the money constantly. It's almost like an easy button for Hayes to be like, play left wing and just start firing in crosses that are going to be right on the foot or right on the head of some of these other attacking players. But I think when you have a player of Lauren James's intelligence, I do think that number 10, or in your example, like a Nikola Jokic type figure of kind of controlling the chessboard, I think that's super appealing. I just, what's the tipping point of how much time all the other players have to be around her to kind of get in that rhythm with her? It's hard to say.
And I'm really thinking a little bit ahead.
Yeah.
With regard to this Chelsea side and how they might be able to win this tournament, right? And I think as currently constructed in their current form, they feel like a semifinals type team, but obviously still you got to win 2 more to take the whole thing. They need a little something different. So I really am looking for them to kind of showcase, I don't know, maybe some different looks coming off that Arsenal loss as well. And they need it. They're not at the top of the group, so some ground to make up. They're going to want 3 points here to kind of like scoot their way back up top. So this one, I think, just as tasty a matchup as there is on the entire docket this week.
But yeah, I mean, that's a great point. You going back to it is that, Hacken they can kind of look at this like they're in control of this group. Whether that affects like the way they're going to play, that'll be kind of interesting to see. I don't think it's going to be bus parking territory, but they do get a little bit of an extra boost. But then you wonder, what does that provide Chelsea in thinking, okay, we're 2 points behind Hacken. We're at home. We got to get the full 3 here. So it'll be interesting to see.
Well, I mean, Hacken against Real Madrid, their 2-1 win, wasn't quite bus parking, but it was just very responsible, aggressive defending. We're going to prioritize defense this first half. We're going to stay in it. They got a little lucky with the post, and I think they had a couple awesome chances, and they smashed both of them. They might be looking to replay that same approach here in this one. I think we see something similar. Not quite a bus parking, but just very responsible defending and then being super opportunistic, especially against the Chelsea side that, again, just got rocked a little bit. And now all of a sudden you put a couple over the bar, you miss an open chance or a free header. And now the confidence maybe starts to wane a little bit. And I think a team like Hacken is just kind of waiting for that vibe to kind of kick in to go ahead and to try to take advantage of it.
Yeah, that's a really great point. And if you're Emma Hayes in Chelsea, maybe it's just feed Sam Kerr early, see if she can use that world-class touch, get one in early, and just wipe the slate clean from the Arsenal shellacking. And real quick, you raise a great point about the Madrid Hacken game. Madrid had 59% of the ball. They had 16 shots, but only 4 of them were on target. So obviously that left Hacken with only 41% of the ball. they had 7 shots, 3 on target, but 2 were goals. So
There you go.
I think you're probably spot on. It might be pretty similar approach for them in this one.
Let's go ahead to the other Group D matchup. Paris FC hosting the aforementioned Real Madrid, Las Blancas, Thursday, 12:45 Eastern, 9:45 Pacific. Paris FC at the very bottom of the group. Real Madrid also kind of scrapping. What are you going to be looking out for in this one?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Paris FC. You mentioned them as kind of giant killers. They knocked Arsenal out of the tournament. They knocked Wolfsburg from Frauen Bundesliga out of this tournament before we got to the group stage. It kind of makes me wonder, like, how much did Paris FC expect coming into this tournament, and where are they sitting now? And then you kind of look at Real Madrid. Real Madrid sitting on 1 point. We mentioned they lost to Hacken 2-1. Real Madrid lost to Sevilla in Liga F on Saturday. They lost 3-1 to Sevilla. I think we might be kind of looking at a little bit of scary hours for Las Blancas. It's like, whoa, everybody, we got to steady the ship here. This is not who we are. We're the second best team in Liga F. We came into this tournament thinking when they get the draw and they see Chelsea is in their group, they're probably like, okay, call a spade a spade. They're gonna be tough to beat. But they had to feel pretty good about their chances against Hacken. And they lose that first match, and now they're sitting on 1 point. So this feels like a gotta have it, but they're on the road in Paris. So I'm really looking for them to be as aggressive as possible. And I think that means, my friend, it's going to be Olga Carmona time. And I'm here for it because she is just one of the most fucking fantastic players to watch in this tournament and in the world in general. I think they're going to run the offense through her, whether she plays because she's this amazing, whether she plays from the back as one of the halfbacks, or she plays up front. I think you got to run the whole thing through her.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, she can definitely create, and she's playing out of her mind right now.
Yep.
And I just kind of have a feeling on the road against a Paris FC side that can't really match Las Blancas in terms of their firepower.
Yep.
I think we get an absolute vintage Olga performance in this one. We've been sort of like knocking on the door of it, and she obviously looked great. Nations League as well. One thing to look out for, Paris FC is at home, but they've also given up 6 goals in 2 group stage matches. And with this one feeling a lot like an elimination game, I would look out for Olga to get on the score sheet anytime goal scored. No, just kidding. And I really just kind of hope we get 2 backs against the wall performances from these sides. You know, just because I think we were both really excited about Paris FC, especially like their road to get here, and pretty underwhelmed. Real Madrid kind of like tippy-toed into a couple of these games, you know, and they got caught. So now we're going to see if they can get things back on track. I think, like we said, we're only a third of the way through the group stage, so still a lot of football to be played. This one, I think sneaky could be one of the games of the week.
I like it. Yeah, Paris FC. I mean, they looked great against Montpellier. They won 4-1 in the league game. When was that? That was just this weekend. That was on Saturday. So yeah, I think you're right. I mean, as you noted, if it's scary hours for Las Blancas, it could be super scary hours. These are very official rankings in terms that we are using to break down these games. Obviously,
highly mathematical.
Yes, and I mean, you know, mathematics and these deep and rich studies, courtesy of the Wu-Tang Clan when discussing scary hours in general. So yeah, I mean, if you're Paris FC, you got to think like, we're at home. You had mentioned for one of the clubs we talked about previously, kind of feels like now or never. Like this thing might not be happening for you at all if you don't pick up the full 3.
Yeah, kind of for both of these teams. Because, you know, obviously like Hacken at the top of the group and Chelsea, you know, they're going to be there.
Yep.
We're really talking about Chelsea with regard to can they win the whole thing, you know? So I think we're going to, you know, smart money's on them to kind of like be able to get out of this group. And then it's going to be a long road to try to catch Hacken. And they're getting kind of their toughie out of the way. They're visiting Chelsea this week. You know, if they can get something out of it.
Yeah, it's a good call.
Yeah, I did want to shift gears and scoot over to Group C. So talked about at the very top of the episode. It might have been in our Group B, Group A episode. This is my other favorite match of the week. Bayern Munich hosting Ajax. Group C, it's simply the group that keeps on giving. 3-way scrap at the top between Bayern, Ajax, and Roma. This group absolutely feels like it's going to be nip and tuck all the way through Matchday 6. PSG at the bottom, still kind of looming, but I'm really looking for Ajax to bounce back in this one. After beating PSG 2-0, they lost at home in their domestic league 1-0 to Twente. And then they got mushed 4 days later, 3-0 by Roma. Bayern drew Roma 2-2 in their first group stage match before also blanking PSG 1-0. 0 points combined for both Paris teams, by the way, in this competition. Definitely did not see that parlay cashing. But to stick with this one, the Ajax bounce back. I think I'm kind of ready for it, but you know how Bayern is, especially at home, rock solid, super fundamental. It's going to be a tough hill to climb for the gals from Ajax. What are you looking for with regard to this one?
So, yeah, I think this one's going to be super interesting. You mentioned Ajax, they have to go to Munich to play this match. But as we sit here today on Monday, Bayern Munich just beat Bayer Leverkusen today. Now, they beat them 3-0 in an impressive performance, but Ajax's last match was on Saturday. So we're going to get a pretty substantial rest advantage here. On Saturday, Ajax drew PSV 3-3. I think another interesting part of this is that kind of both of these teams are coming off of important matches. Bayern was 7 points ahead of Leverkusen, but Wolfsburg was still nipping at their heels. So they needed to get that win. That's an important match. And then if I know anything about Dutch football, if Ajax is playing PSV, that is a very important match, no matter where you are in the standings. But in this case, Ajax is now 2 points ahead of PSV, and they're both chasing the aforementioned FC Twente. So we have two teams coming off of big matches. Ajax with the rest advantage. Bayern's playing at home. Just a lot of different kind of swirling factors here, where I think also you mentioned the group standings. Bayern's sitting on 4. Ajax is sitting on 3. This is all to play for right now.
Yep.
Each team has to give their absolute best shot. Yeah, I think you're totally right about this being one of the absolute best matchups. Should be, as they like to say in England, a cracking game of football.
And on the Into the Channel pod. I think, Ajax had such a flat performance at Roma after their really nice showing at home against PSG. I think they got to be bummed about the effort they put forward in that one. And just, obviously, they got Giacchini'd, so what are you going to do?
Right.
But I don't know. I think we see a much, much closer affair in this one. I think Ajax really kind of buckles down. I could see them kind of scoring first in this one and kind of getting a little bit of their swagger back and then seeing what Bayern could do off of that. But like I said, this is 1A, 1B with regard to the matches that I'm excited about this week. This one going down Thursday, 12:45 p.m. Eastern in that early slot. So very pumped for this one. This is going to be my big Thursday watch.
Is it too early to say, you mentioned Ajax, they beat PSG in their first match pretty convincingly, and then they get rocked by Roma. Is it too early, or with only 2 matches played, is it easy to say, well, yeah, Ajax, they smashed PSG. PSG's the worst team in the group. Ajax is decidedly the third best team in the group. And this is a 2-horse race between Roma and Bayern. Are we not comfortable saying that yet?
I am definitely not comfortable saying that.
I agree.
And I've got some stuff coming up on PSG that I think is going to be interesting. I did a little research on them that was pretty illuminating. I'm not saying that their 0 points after 2 matches is fluky, but I actually wouldn't be surprised to see them try to get back on track here. That's our next matchup. Paris Saint-Germain. How do you say this?
Paris Saint-Germain, but yeah.
PSG hosting Roma.
Well done.
Thursday, nailed it. Thursday, 3 p.m. 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. Also a now or never type matchup for PSG. They're having a little bit of a weird season, especially considering the ages of a lot of their big name players. So Gayoro's 26, De Almeida's 25, Karshawi is 27, Lika Martin's 30, Kototo 25, Chawinga 27, and even their rising star, Sandy Baltimore, she's already 23. So wow. This is not a team in between generations, to kind of borrow some U.S. women's national team commentary. This is a team that is built to win now. Now, I think Roma has looked awesome. Giacchini's looked awesome. Giuliano, awesome. They look like, not quite a flying death machine, but just, a sequence of roundhouse kicks. That's the best way I can describe them. Nice. But they are traveling to PSG. And I don't know, can we see PSG going 0 for 3? They're still stacked. They still have a super talented roster. Roma is just out intensifying these teams, and that's how they're kind of getting these wins. This is probably the widest range of possible outcomes I could see. I could see Paris winning 3-1. I could see Roma winning 3-0, and just sort of the booze coming out pretty early. I don't know. Let me know what you're expecting out of this one, because I'm a little bit at a loss.
I think you're on to something. It's probably too early to give up on PSG. They have excellent players. You mentioned Karshawi, who I think is a great defensive player. I think we saw that in the World Cup. I've been concerned at the look of them sometimes. I know we had talked to like a couple weeks ago that they just kind of looked a little disorganized, looked a little out of it. I'm not sure how much of that to put on the management or anything like that, but I'm here for one motherfucking reason. Valentina Giacinti. She's fucking great. The mentality, and I will say, again, like we're going into this saying we don't fancy ourselves experts in all of these squads, but it seems like her mentality kind of bleeds into the rest of the squad, or they're feeding off of each other. Roma had a 2-1 victory over a little club called AC Milan on Saturday. In that match, that's what I love so much about club football. So Kosovare Asllani, the great Swedish striker, plays for AC Milan. Yeah. Nice deal for her, by the way, to just be like, yeah, I'll just live in Milan and be a great football player. Like, I just love that about like this international game where it's like, if you're in the NBA and you can't play for Los Angeles, Miami, or New York, maybe you have to be the best player on Oklahoma City. In world football, like, oh, I can't play for Arsenal or Chelsea or something like that. I'll just go play in Paris or Milan or Madrid or Barcelona. You just have this wide range of incredible options. I digress. But Asllani earns a penalty, or AC Milan earns a penalty. Asllani finishes it in the 24th minute of that match. Roma scores their 2 goals. You had mentioned Giuliano, who's great. She got hers in the 58th minute. And then Di Giuliemo, I know I'm butchering that Italian name, but she scored the go-ahead goal in the 64th minute. And I just think, like, just the mentality of Roma, they're tough as hell. And they play that Italian lockdown, be aggressive style of football that, frankly, I think people would point out and say is kind of missing from a lot of Italian men's sides these days. And I just think that Roma's going to go into this match and go, okay, PSG, if you don't have a we gotta have it game, if you don't play your absolute best, we might just blow your doors off.
Yeah, that's a great call. I think we're going to know inside of 5 minutes what time it is. Like it's either going to be, all right, we got ourselves a game, or it's going to be, wow, PSG's, they put their uniforms on just to come out here and like roll over.
Yep.
And we're going to know pretty quick because Roma is 90 minutes plus. It's not just Giacinti. Giuliano is like, her intensity is on like awesome. 110, like the whole match. I just love that style. That's one thing that we're learning. These are the teams that we're gravitating to. Like the teams that are just foot on the gas. We might not be that top tier, betting favorite to win, but we're not going to make it easy. Yep. We're going to come out here and make you earn it. I think that's kind of what we can expect in this one. This one rounds out the week, Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. Anything else you want to hit? Group C, Group D?
I think we covered it.
Awesome. All right, man. I think we did it. This has been another episode of Into the Channel. Follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you like to watch or listen. Ratings and reviews, always appreciated. At ITC_pod on X, at Into the Channel pod on Threads. Big thank you to my co-host, Mr. Grand Angle, for always keeping the intensity up.
Just trying to be a mentality monster. I watched the David Beckham documentary. I think people forget that about him, is that dude was tough as hell. So I'm trying to channel my Inter Valentina Giacinti. And however badly I'm butchering the name, drop it in the YouTube comments. But like I always say, I'm doing an American's impression of English football announcers' pronunciations of Italian names. So, I mean, help me out here. I'm sure I'm doing a terrible job, but, drop it in. Our feelings won't be hurt if you correct our pronunciations.
1,000%. All right, man. I'll talk to you later.
All right. See you around.